What's your thoughts on the it factor?
When we talk about it factor, it sounds like what we're describing is we don't know how to put our finger on what makes someone so exceedingly excellent.
Bingo.
And so I think that if you think of the circle of charisma, I think people 10 years ago was just like any sort of social skill is an it factor. We don't know how to describe it. I actually think you can account for like 80% of it. And that's what I try to do on the channel is break down. There are repeatable, actionable behaviors that can take you there. And when I do break down certain people, I'll give you some examples that are very hard to talk about. Like Jack Harlow has just a vibe. If you watch his stuff, it's okay. How is he making eye contact? When is he breaking it? What's the rule here? There is a embodied comfort that he exhibits that is not directly practicable. Someone else, Russell Brand. Russell Brand's verbal fluency is not really attainable for most people. He had it when he was younger. He didn't have to develop it in any sort of conscious way. It was just there for him. And you pointed to Kobe and LeBron. They all practice really hard, but there are just some like athletic things that they have that other people don't. So I think there is some element of social skills and charisma that is just like, man, that person's fucking got it. I can't do what they do. Theo Von. I don't know if you've seen him for years ago. That guy is the funniest dude without trying. He is funnier, in my opinion, on his podcast is just sitting there shooting the shit than he is writing jokes for his stand-up. And that's a compliment to his just way of being. There are certain habits that you can pick up from him, but there is just something that is there. So I think what is an interesting question is, can we find each of us our innate it factor, the field in which we really like have an unfair advantage that is almost inborn, and if not inborn, it was there early. We developed it quickly. For me, analysis has been just something that came pretty easy to me, right? Breaking things down, seeing it, taking it apart. There's a degree of verbal fluency. I think if you can start to identify what your it factor is, and I do think that we have a lot. My girlfriend's is that she has a fucking capacity to sit with wounded animals and love them, right? Like she's an animal rescue, and it's beautiful, and she actually has a successful social influencer career as a result of it. But it's not because she edits really well or because she's really good at the narrative story in her edit. It's because she loves the most wounded animals and nurses them back to health. And even if the edit sucked, it would still be an inspiring thing to watch. So I think paying attention for me, like the it factor is where is a skill set, but it's also where is my heart? Like, what is that thing that I am just loving and drawn to, and it's weird? You would have had to pay most people to go out into a bar and get rejected by women as often as I did. But I just wanted to, right? So if you can find that thing, it often leads to an unfair advantage in life and business. And I think it's a combination of skill and heart at some level.
Yeah.
It's a great response.
I love that. Yeah. You got to kind of figure out the thing that, you're kind of born with and that almost no one can compete with you. Because you just have such a head start and your brain, you're just wired a certain way. I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like, yeah, like a lot of it is just nature versus nurture.
I underestimated that for a long time. I'll choose yourself. Anyone could do anything. And there is a huge chunk, like I said, 80% of it, you could boost your charisma. But man, as I've gotten older, the differences in people are beautiful and I think need to be like honored and grown in a lot of circumstances because they lead to your most powerful contribution.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you found yours, Imad?
In terms of what,
like what's your it factor? What's your zone of genius? Like Charlie mentioned, analyzing and like just like the fascination with human interaction, I guess. But
for me, it's been communication and storytelling, and connecting to people. That's been the secret to all my success.
Nice.
I think a lot of people really struggle to empathize and connect to people on a deeper level, and I think one thing that I've realized that as the years, I can really help people tap into that side of them that is untapped and help them actually. It happens with sales teams. It happens with the executives and CEOs that I train. Like, it's like shifting culture.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. One of the things that supported me most in finding that or getting closer to it is just feedback from people. Like, just what do you see? Like, what would you come to me for when it comes to like, you need help with something like that's like, I'm going to go to Leon for that. Or what do you see me being really good at that, other people have a hard time with.
Yeah.
I think that's been really helpful for me. Do you think there's any way to get way more self-aware, or to just in general increase self-awareness in somebody else? Because I think the best tool that I found is just getting feedback from people.
Yeah,
Like
there's gosh.
radically honest feedback. Like, and that's part of the leadership training that I did. Last year I did it, and now I'm still involved in it. But like one of the big pieces in the training is that you're in a room with 50 people and you give each other feedback, but like the kind of feedback that you would never tell someone when you see it, right? When you just meet them, right? But like radically honest, and it's just like it just shakes people to their core, and they realize, oh my god, like this is,
I need to make a shift.
Everyone sees it. So like, have you found anything that helps with that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're describing is that's one way of accessing what Carl Jung calls the shadow, which is if we are a circle, we learn that certain aspects of who we are get us punished, or we don't fit in and we can't acknowledge them. So they still exist inside of us. They show up in our behavioral patterns. They might be like passive aggression or things like that, but they sit outside of our conscious awareness. There's a number of ways to access the shadow, one of which is to get a whole bunch of people and be like, what do you see that I don't see? So that's one way of accessing the shadow. One thing to be aware of is that people can project their own shit onto you, so it's not just wholesale taking what people say. You have to learn to discern. But any sort of shadow work, and so there's lots of ways. You can do dream writing, you can do breath work, I'd be careful, you could do psychedelics, like anything that brings you into contact with the shadow. There's psychotherapy that can sort of do that. That's actually been one of the things that I am most fascinated by, because I would say my implicit goal in life has shifted from feel good to be whole. And as I now want to be more whole, I am far more interested in bringing in my shadow, in feeling all of the things that I haven't felt about myself, and getting not just to know myself intellectually, but like to feel all of the unfelt feelings that I have pushed aside in order to get through life in, one way or another.
So Charlie, I'm curious to hear more about that. What does that look like?
So for me, it's very different for everybody. Some people have meditation practices. There's all of these beautiful traditions, right? And some people can get very attached to theirs. So like the therapists want you to go to therapy for years, and the psychonauts want you to take ayahuasca in the jungle. And
I think people just need to listen to the podcast, honestly. Like that'll get you over most things.
Yeah, podcasts. I mean, one of the things that actually I do find, I will watch television. Part of it is paying attention to the things that you are more drawn to than other people. And because there is a hook in that for you. So like reality TV, you wouldn't necessarily expect this given my other range of interest. I devour that Netflix slop. I love it. And I am screaming at the television the whole time. But what I've started to do is to not just be like, that guy's is to go, okay, I am really triggered by this guy. I am screaming at him. I hate him. I watched one show on Netflix where like all the female characters were getting all of the male characters in trouble as they tried to protect them. And I was losing my shit, which caused, then I sat down and I free wrote. I was like, these women are making all the men, And that brought up a bunch of stuff of like how I've tried to be there for my mom, and that has put me at risk, right? So the curiosity when you are driven to an extreme emotion, or on the flip side, to numbness. So like getting curious around that is one way into shadow work. It looks like for me, and every morning before I did this, for instance, I'll do 30 or 40 minutes of holotropic breath work, which is essentially continuous deep breathing that can really increase it brings up emotions you haven't felt. It takes you out of your head, brings you into like the emotional sense of your life. So there's a ton of things, and I do a lot of reading, but those are mine.
And a lot of podcasts, listening to podcasts.
Podcasting.
Yeah.
So we didn't
that's why he's so whole. But anyways,
we didn't ask Charlie, what is, because your it factor was developed. I mean, if you consider communication your it factor, that was something that was developed. But what do you think was your it factor?
Truth. I only know this now. The the thing that has always upset me, I get so upset about lying. I'm so naive and so gullible. I project that people are telling me the truth. The reason that I think I have succeeded is because more than the other internet marketers, and I'm not saying I've been perfect throughout my life, more than Neil Strauss when he wrote the game, who was coming in with pickup lines that weren't true, everything with me didn't feel good unless I was able to make it true. So I was able to innovate, in the dating space early on when I was like, we're not going to lie. It's a lie to say that there was a fight outside and ask that girl about it. It's a lie and I definitely was not perfectly clean about it, but that was always the edge that caused me that we're not going to do a fake countdown timer to sell our course. We're not going to tell people this is a one-time discount when everyone else is doing that. And that inability to take certain shortcuts forced me to get down to a closer contact with reality, and you win when you do that over a long enough time period. And so I think that is infused. I just do not settle for like half truths. I keep going and looking, and I think that's been the thing that I'm obsessed with.
You built a strong foundation. I think what a lot of people do is keep going. Sorry about that.
No, I appreciate that. And also it was a temperamental thing that just was. It wasn't what's beautiful about it is that it wasn't really a choice. It didn't feel good to do it any other way. And so I think that's one of the nice things about the it factor is that it doesn't feel good to do it outside of your zone of genius, outside of your it factor. And it feels like a relief, like the obstacle has been removed, even if things get harder when you're in that zone. And it becomes an incredible inbuilt competitive advantage that is not chosen, it's discovered in time.
I like that.
Mm.